Welcome, viewers. I am CJ, your host for Dating and Relationships, or DNR for short, podcast. I am excited to bring you real, authentic conversations about dating and relationships from all aspects of today. We're here sharing issues, questions, and or stories that will hopefully bring to light some answers, light entertainment, and more understanding of today's dating and relationship worlds we all have encountered. My guests on this podcast are volunteers from all walks of life and backgrounds and are eager to share some of their personal experiences to hopefully connect, build a community for growth, and specifically on this topic. Viewers are welcome to share some of their stories or if they relate to a specific episode, but in a very respectful and cordial manner. The hope is to reach as many viewers as possible, hopefully worldwide, to create understanding, communicate and learn from one another, and also to come together. Please enjoy the videos. Hi, welcome to another episode of Dating and Relationships. And I'm here with my very good soul sister and friend, Will. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
So today's topic is single women, especially in our 40s, who are here to talk about love, investment, and being authentic. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
I got some questions.
Okay, great.
All right, here we go. So go ahead, Bill, and tell me a little bit more about yourself, a little background, so the audience of viewers can know a little bit more about you.
Sure. My name is Will, and I am a program consultant for a energy efficient program for now 17 years. Yeah, it's been a long time now. I actually graduated from Westfield State as a communications bachelor's. Now I was married for 10 years and been divorced now for six, dated on and off for the past 6 years. So I know a little bit about dating.
Yes,
And now in your 40s.
I know, and it's funny because when we're at this age, we know what we want.
Exactly. I think as you are in your 40s, you know what you want. You're not willing to compromise because you're independent woman and you know exactly what you want at this age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about certain things that we have experienced.
Okay.
For example, like what do you think is the biggest lesson that you have learned about love relationships from your own personal experiences to this point?
That love isn't enough.
Mm,
That's a big one. I think there has to be more than love to make a relationship work.
mhm.
Also trusting yourself. That's a big lesson I've learned throughout the years in every relationship that I need to trust myself more and trust my gut feelings when it comes to situations and what's going on. Um, Other topics probably that or situations that I notice myself is that um communication. That's a
Yeah.
big one. I
Yeah.
think that communication, if you don't have it, a relationship will never work.
It's interesting that you said that because one of the things that I also learned is what's important to me in a relationship.
Mm,
And I'm telling you, the guy can have all the bells and whistles, but if doesn't have the intellect or the communications piece of it. And the funny thing is, you major in communication.
I know. And, you know, also, I've learned how to communicate better
Mm,
because I feel like when you first start off a relationship, you listen more
yeah.
sometimes, but you're not fully listening. And that's something that I've learned to fully listen to someone before acting out. Because sometimes when you're in an argument, you kind of want to put your point first and you're not listening to them, right? You want to be always right. And I've learned that you got to put, I'm very stubborn. So I need to put my pride to the side and listen to the person also. But yeah, communication is a big thing
Mm.
in relationships.
This is also hitting the spot about being authentic
Mhm.
and taking accountability for the things that you've learned throughout. So now it gets to the point that these things matter moving forward in a
Yeah,
relationship, correct?
for correct. Also, another topic that I mean, another thing that I think is very important as we get older, is emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Like, I think that's very important. Being able to be vulnerable in a relationship is very hard for
Yeah,
anyone right now.
I'm
No one
telling
wants to
you.
put those walls down, show their true self, right? And I feel like that's very important in a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on and on and on and talk about so
Yeah.
many things. So definitely we'll be having a series
Yeah,
on you.
definitely. I think it's good to have a male perspective in this because I feel like it's harder for men to be vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
than women are.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes us strong women don't want to show that vulnerability because you don't want to be taken advantage, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's harder for some of us as we get older to show that side of us.
Yeah, that is something a lot of people struggle in. And don't worry. So stay tuned because I'm definitely going to have a male perspective and even group dynamics. So stay
Yeah.
tuned in the future for that. So, Will, let's go ahead and talk about another question here. How do you navigate the balance between maintaining your independence and being open to emotional connection? You touch on that.
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I from the get-go tell someone my kids are first, my child is first, that my family is second, and then also my friends. I think it's important to know and let your partner know or the person you're dating that you have other things that are more important
Right.
than them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually that you can incorporate them in your life as it gets serious,
Right.
right? But right now, when you get to know someone, you're not completely fully there.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things that are more important, and letting them know that, it's important for them to have their own life and you have your own. It's
Yeah.
a balancing act, right? But letting them know that from the get go that that is important to you is
Yeah.
important.
It's interesting also because emotional balance, yes, we are emotionally available. Yes, we are ready to potentially start a new relationship, but we have our lives going on too. And we cannot give 120% to that person because we're very independent. We have a lot of things going on,
Mhm.
AKA, as you see this right here. And that person has to learn to fit within our lives if they want to be in our lives.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think the emotional is the balance for me would be, again, communication, but also them understanding where they stand.
Yeah. I think it's just communicating that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't, especially as parents. If we're older, we have kids, you know, your partner may have kids also, and their schedule may be different than yours. They may have your schedules don't align together,
Mhm.
and having to communicate that and being
Mhm.
like, where does this relationship fit?
Right.
And can it fit?
Right.
Because I've been, dated people that our schedules don't fit.
Right.
And are you willing to compromise and fit it in, or is it ever gonna sometimes it doesn't.
And sometimes that might create a part-time relationship, and sometimes men, again, this might be another topic for another day, but there's a lot of men that we have encountered that want to be able to be with women like ourselves and build something, and we've been there and done it. They may have not been, and therefore they require more attention than we really are willing to give
Mhm.
because we have all these things going on. So we need to have someone who understands that.
Yeah.
And it's a balancing act. And sometimes that means having a part-time boyfriend,
Yeah,
or
definitely.
part-time relationship. And
Yeah.
you gotta see if that fits, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was in a relationship where the only time we were able to see each other were the
Yeah.
weekends. And we had to change our schedules of when we had our children so it would be at the same time and we can spend every weekend together.
Mhm.
That was something that we needed to compromise right on and see if it can work. It worked for a little bit, but in the end it didn't work at
Right.
all
Yeah.
because they live far and there was other items too that didn't work out. That it's a big thing when kids are involved.
And the balancing act there too, also, like as you touch base on the distance, it was about an hour, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it was weekends, you had your other lives, but then ends up happening, okay, what is the next step? What is the next stage? And then you have to then realize, how do you balance that? And your intuition also tells you, that's a big piece too
Yeah,
when it comes to
definitely.
intuition. women and men, you got to follow your intuition when you're in a relationship. Again, that's a topic for another show, which will happen. But it's very important when you're starting a relationship.
Yeah, and also, and every weekend you want to spend time with them, right? Every weekend, but now you're not spending time with your family
Yes.
and your friends, and you're losing yourself in that
Yes.
relationship. So, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And again, it's one of those things. Are you willing to give up that? Are you willing to compromise? There's a lot when it comes to
Yeah.
dating someone in the beginning.
And sometimes that sacrifice is not being maybe this is
Appreciated.
or paid
Yeah.
attention to. Yes,
Mhm.
you took the words right out of my mouth. And then that's where issues and problems
Oh
start.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So communication is definitely very important.
Okay, so the next question I have here is when considering a relationship, what internal questions we kind of touch base on that, but do you ask yourself
Mm,
before deciding if it's worth your time and energy?
it's a good one. Let me ask you that question first.
I like the
Let me think
reversal.
about it.
I like the reversal. Me, to be quite honest, the questions I ask myself internally is, does this person have the intellect that I
Mhm,
need? Because I've realized that what's important to me, besides communication, is having that deep connection with someone.
mhm.
And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I'm challenged intellectually, if you can keep me interested. If I, at this state in age, and I have to go ahead and start teaching and investing a lot more time for you to be on my same wavelength, then I feel that that's a turn off and a red flag for me,
Mm,
which I think there's a question here about that. So for me, the question is, does this person have the intellect that I seek? Can I have this person's complete understanding, right? Again, not divulging too much information about certain qualities, but
yeah.
does this person have the qualities that are truly important to me? And can this person understand me and I understand them? So
Mhm.
I ask myself, does this person truly, truly have the ability to understand, to balance, and to meet me intellectually there?
Mhm.
If not, then it's a no for me.
Yeah.
What about
I
you?
For me it's more emotional.
Mm.
Emotional. I'm more of an emotional person. I feel like I have to have that be able to feel comfortable to open up
Yeah.
with someone and for them to listen and
Mhm.
open up to me. I feel like that's more important to me, and also qualities of a man that I'm looking for. If you don't have those, it kind of like deters me a little bit.
Mhm.
Like it's very important to me for you to have those qualities because I know you'll fit in to my life and to the people that I love,
Mhm.
and understand me and what I'm looking for.
Right. And then I think with time you can become a unit.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, you know, and I'm deviating a little bit, but at the beginning when a partner, whether you're with a guy or with a girl, whatever, and they require so much attention,
Mm,
that becomes a red flag because it's like needy, clingy, like
yeah.
no, no,
Yeah. But again, communicate that. Like
yeah,
be in like in the get-go and be like, I'm busy. I have work, I have kids, I have family, I have friends,
hmm
I have projects, I'm working out, I'm doing all these other things that, take up my time.
hmm
And if you're worth it, you will find time and effort. Time and
that's
effort,
a
Brad.
key.
Big thing is time and effort. Finding that time and finding that effort to give a person. If they're worth it, you will find that, right?
Yeah.
You will get that.
So in that aspect, the next question, which is a segue for, is like, what are signs that tell you when a connection is truly authentic versus when someone is simply trying to impress you? We get that a lot. That's why we gotta be
Yes.
tight-lipped
I
sometimes.
try not to give a lot of guys what kind of qualities I'm looking for because I feel like they will do those things and then once they get you, they stop.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, I don't impress easily because been there, done it.
Mhm.
And for me, authenticity is more important. But if that, like, again, if that quality is naturally to that person,
Yes.
if that person at the beginning gets you flowers or opens your
Mhm.
door, second or third date doesn't do it, or fourth date, and then a month goes by, and all of a sudden, all those things that really got you interested no longer interest you, red flag.
Actions speak louder than words, lady.
That's when we go, I
Yes.
don't think we're connected.
Yes. No, I agree. I agree with you very much on that. I feel like I always tell the people, be your authentic self.
Hmm.
Be who you are. If you're not romantic, don't be romantic. If you don't get flowers, don't get flowers. If you don't open doors, don't open doors. Don't do things that you don't usually do. Because then you're gonna expect it. Your person's gonna expect it. So I am authentically I tell you right away, I am stubborn. Stubborn.
Emotional, stubborn.
Emotional. I also like very indecisive. I cannot pick a restaurant to save my life.
That's the Libra side.
But I'm loving too, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. So, I say these things, but I also show these things.
Yes. Right.
So I think men should be their authentic self. Don't try to impress a girl if this is not what you're gonna continuously do.
And the reason why we say that, and some people might say it's easier said than done, is because you do set that standard. You do set those emotions. Like, for example, quick story is about 2 to 3 years ago, I dated a guy. It was a short while, but he stepped up so many levels that came from him. They were his way of showing his affection, his organization, his structure, his balance. I was so impressed by how this man was able to do all these things that was a standard. And the thing is, that was normal to him. But why did that person and I didn't work out? In case people are wondering, it also comes down to who they were and what they brought. And someone who needs to go through the healing process, it's not going to work,
Yeah, definitely.
because that means that any baggage or anything that they haven't worked on is going to come to light. And so I
Mhm.
just felt that the person needed more time and space to get there. And that's what I decided to do. I decided to give him that space, and
Mhm.
I wasn't being selfish. I'm like, for you and for me,
Mhm.
I can't invest in someone that needs to work on these things by themselves. So I feel that you need to do this on your own, because
Mhm.
how can you give that person 100% unless you're substituting?
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, this probably will be a different subject
Yes.
that we would talk about in the show, but also like love bombing. Oh, that's a
Yes.
big one.
Yes.
I was in a relationship where this person was very romantic, very supportive and loving for like years, 2 years, and out of nowhere, gone,
Out of the blue.
out of the blue, and it
Shocking.
was definitely a love bomb, and it's something hard to get over because it really like affects you moving on with dating because now you don't know if someone's being actually nice and saying the things they mean or they're love bombing you.
Yes.
Gonna do the same thing. It definitely takes a lot of healing and knowing the red flags moving forward of what is a true person being authentic and loving and sweet and saying the right things to a person who's love bombing you.
In that case, I would say, and maybe this is incorrect, but I would say that you would have like dating PTSD now.
Oh yeah,
So if anyone
definitely.
starts to do something the same, it'll trigger you. Is this person love bombing me?
Mhm.
Is this person authentic? Can I invest in this person? And it's going to take time.
Yes.
But this is why now it's important to make sure that, again, you communicate what it is you want. And for me, I always say time will tell all,
Mhm.
but you're cautious because of these experiences that you've had in the past, or I've had in the past. And we don't like to get triggered, but because we think people are different, we like to give the benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah, definitely.
However, within a couple of months, we kind of already know.
Oh yeah, and not even a couple of months. I feel
Well,
like right away you kind of know if I think you grow as every
mhm,
relationship you learn,
mhm.
you grow from it. You learn new things from people of things that you're willing to compromise, not willing. to compromise and things that you have learned and about yourself and about a person, what you're willing to have or not have. I think you learn so much from every relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like no relationship is bad because you learn from
Yeah. People like you and myself and maybe other viewers see relationships as lessons,
Mhm.
even if it's bad or ugly. Because I've had toxic relationships also in my past, and I can just say that I learned a lot from it. And I try to, and I do heal and learn from those things, and I look out for those signs so I don't repeat the same
Mhm.
mistakes over. But I do try to give people that I'm truly interested in a fair chance.
Yeah.
But the moment I see repeating patterns, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, this is not gonna work.
Yes, repeating patterns. Oh, story of my life. I've learned from it, and that's
Yeah,
the thing that I love from my last long, long relationship that I had for 2 years. I learned so much from that relationship. Moving forward, I'm not falling for the same traps. And now I'm knowing that I've grown from that relationship,
yeah,
and I'm not falling for the same traps from it, which is a good lesson, right?
yeah. That brings me to the next question about how do you protect your peace, right?
Yeah.
Because that has become an important part during the healing process and when you're
Mhm.
ready to date again, right? How do you protect your peace while dating, ensuring that your energy and efforts aren't wasted on the wrong person?
Yeah. I don't change the way I am now that I'm single. So I don't change, stop hanging out with my friends. I continue to play, hang out with my friends, have my girl time, go to the gym, continue your same
Like,
life. Don't change it for a man.
right.
Just don't change those things. Incorporate. If a guy is subtracting, multiplying, dividing your life, no bueno. You want someone to be adding to your life.
Hmm.
And if you have to remove things from your life, it's not good.
Right,
So
right.
I've learned to continue my life, and if this person is right, then he's right, and he's going to continue to be in my life and incorporate them into it. Um I don't have expectations now. And I feel
Mm.
like expectations, you have more of a peace
Okay, yeah,
as a
because
person
it
because you're not gonna be worrying about it.
right, it doesn't bring disappointment when
No,
you
no
don't have the
disappointment.
expectations. But
Exactly.
there's still some sort of level of standards or quality that we seek
Oh
for.
yeah.
But at the same time, when you meet someone, you try to let them be themselves.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's the whole point of dating, right? To see if this person is right for you. And if they're not, why am I gonna cry and be upset? There's someone so much better for you out there.
Hmm.
That's all it is. This person was brought into your life for learning something about you or them learning from you. And then you move on and then you gonna find someone better.
Absolutely. So in that case, going back to being authentic and keeping your inner peace and balancing, what role does your intuition play in your dating life? And how do you distinguish between a gut feeling and overthinking it?
Mhm. This is something I've learned throughout the years to follow my gut. Like my gut's never been wrong. I'm a journal. I journal a lot and I write down everything. All my feelings, how I feel, what's in my mind. I always go back and read it and it always gives me an answer. I talk to my friends. My friends are great. Not just giving me advice, but just listening to me and being like, okay, wait, Maddie, like this and this and that, right? Helping me figure it out. Not giving me the answers, but listening and try to figure it out with me.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you're talking with friends or family, you hear yourself speak.
Hmm.
And then as you're asking this question, why this, why that, all of a sudden you hear an answer.
Oh yeah. And also everyone in my life has known me for so long, more than 30 years. So who knows me best, right? My
Mhm,
family and my friends.
mhm.
And if I can speak to them about how I'm feeling and they can give me advice, you may sometimes not take it because we're all human, right? We're not going to take everyone's advice, but following your own intuition and speaking to the people who truly know you is important.
Yeah.
And having that core, right?
Yeah.
You have that core friendship and people in your life that you can depend on, and they're going to be honest with
Correct.
you.
Correct.
And if you don't have that, follow your woman's intuition is so
It's
big.
very strong.
It's never wrong.
I wanted to touch base a little bit. You mentioned earlier to not, change your life and you still continue your life. I do know people around me who have been single for so long, but the moment they meet someone, I'm not sure if it's the feeling of not being alone or trying to be with someone. They actually change who they are. They stop doing their normal things
Mhm.
and then divulge a lot of tension to that other person, and then they become with involved with the person, like if they're actually thinking like being married, and they've only been dating like 3, 5, or 6 months.
Mhm.
And I feel that when you do that, like you go head first, you tend to lose yourself. And
Mhm.
sometimes when you try to give advice to people or when they come to you, let them know and they're in denial that they're like that, or some people just want to be like that. I just can't find myself to do that
Yeah.
because of what you said. You lose yourself, you lose who you are. And then when that person's no longer around, you have to go back and
Yeah.
find
But
yourself.
you know what? Everyone goes through situations. I've been in a relationship where I kind of did that. Like because they lived so far away, so the only time I was able to see them was during the weekends and we had children. I couldn't see my friends during the weekend. During the week, you're busy working, you know what I mean? So I get it when people do that, but then again, it's toxic. That's what I learned. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy relationship when you do that. You lose yourself in a
Mm.
relationship, and then once that relationship ends, you have nothing, right?
Yeah, and you
Afterwards.
feel like your world crumbled. But then you
Yeah.
have to then remember, and this is where friends and family come in. Remember who you were well before,
Mhm.
or you have to understand these things. And that's what keeps me who I am now, because I myself was also in a toxic type relationship where you're kept from the people that matter the most. And that's where narcissistic
Yes.
type of personalities may come in. Now I can identify a narcissist from a mile away
Exactly. And
because of that
but when
experience.
you're in it, I
Mm,
feel like you don't see it.
correct.
The classes are so on and you don't see it. You only see the loving side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then when you kind of are removed from that, you're like, oh my God, red flag, red flag, red flag. Why didn't I see it?
Mm,
But then again, there's love bombing. There's, maybe you experience something that you never experienced before. You
mhm.
know what I mean? Maybe this person was different than your other relationships. So you don't see those red
Yeah.
flags, or you try to hide, like kind of like brace against
Yeah,
it,
like,
right?
oh,
And be like,
whatever.
oh,
I'll just do
whatever,
this. Yeah,
he loves me. Then, it doesn't matter that he doesn't want to hang out with
yeah,
my friends, right? So things like that happen.
yeah,
But after you're removed, then you're like, oh my God,
mm,
all this was going on. And you have to learn from it, right?
yeah,
That's what you learn. And you're like, and now it's like, do you repeat or do you learn not to do that again?
yeah.
And that's, and you're going to experience those situations over and over and over again until you learn them. And
Learn
that's
the lesson.
something that the universe will always do, bring people back in your life to test you to see if you're going to fall for those situations again or not.
Yeah. As you can tell, um, from the background here, well, I'm a very spiritual person. I like to be very in tune also with my intuition and listen to your gut. And Will right here is very similar in that fashion. So one thing is that, when you are even married, you got to remember you're two different individuals, that you have two different set of goals, that you have two different likes. You're not the same person. You're coming together as a team once that relationship develops, but you still have to keep your authentic self
Oh, yeah.
authentic and have that person be your partner, your teammate,
Mhm.
your cheerleader. But at the same time, giving up everything for one person, yes, that's supportive, but vice versa. But then again, there's a balancing act. And we've been married before and we've had that. And there comes a time that once you start separating that individual or that independence of
Mhm.
who you are, you either drift apart or you either come back together.
Yeah.
And the only way you come back together is if you have that supporting communication. Again, a full 360.
Oh yeah.
You drift apart when you start to outgrow the other person
Yes.
or when you realize you are more different than you thought
Mm.
or you're not getting that support.
Yeah, that's
It
where a lot of marriages end.
fail.
Let's
Yeah.
be honest, because one is growing and one is stuck here.
Yeah.
Right? You want more, you want to learn more, you want to grow,
Evolve.
you want to have different goals. And this person's like, I'm okay, I'm right
Yeah.
here.
No.
And it's never going to work. And there are times where you're both like, maybe like this, but that's good because you're both learning and growing, learning and growing. But if someone is stuck here and you're like up here and you keep going up and they're still down here, it's
Mhm.
never going to work.
It's never gonna
No.
materialize to the point of the long marriages. Remember, a lot of folks that I've had contact with, and I'm going to be bringing in other guests in here who are married and have a longevity sort of report with their marriage, that it's a balancing act. Again,
Yeah.
full 360 here, and you got to give each other that space to grow.
Yeah.
You got to water each other, but you grow together, but different. If that
Different. You
makes
have
sense.
to have like a pair, right? Like you have your own life, they have their own life, right? You're living together, yes, and you're growing together and you're building this home, this foundation, right? But they're still separate. There's goals and um aspirations and things this person wants and you want, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And it's just supporting each other and loving each other and being friends and building that foundation first
mhm, mhm.
and
Absolutely.
listening to each other. And that's what's going to work.
Mhm.
But if you're both going like this, it's never going to work.
No,
It's
no.
never going to work.
And women in our time, like a lot of our friends in our circles are over 40. They are very, independent, successful. They have their own income and money. Then in reality, they don't really need a partner in their life to be who they are. They choose to have this partner in their life because they want to have that. They
Yeah.
want to have that communication, that support, that understanding, and then vice versa, that naturally comes back. But it's a lot harder for us in our generation to be able to be single, start dating because we've accomplished so much. And a lot of the times of men that we meet haven't yet still accomplished what they want. Yet they
Yes.
have certain expectations of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have expectations in a way of them of where they're at in their life. We could be understanding, but how are you really are the same wavelength?
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes we choose to be single or stay
Yeah.
single because sometimes it's better than
Mhm.
invested in the wrong person than
Yeah, that's why I always usually when I start dating people, I tell them I want to build a friendship foundation
yes,
first because to me, I want my partner to be my best friend and my lover.
absolutely.
Right? You want someone who's supportive and understanding that you can talk to about anything, how your day is, about past lives, about anything, about everything. That's what your partner should be like, you know? And if you can't do that, why be with someone? Because in the end of the day, love
It's not enough.
is not enough. You need someone who, once you get old,
Hmm.
it's not always going to be lovey-dovey. You're
Yeah.
going to need a friend, a partner, a companion. And that's important. And if you don't have that foundation
Hmm.
from the get-go, it's not going to work. If you have love first, I feel like it doesn't work because you're expecting it to be this lovey-dovey and it's not like that.
Those princesses,
Those
movies are
movies, those
mine.
rom-coms ruin it. That is not real life. I'm sorry, ladies, but it's not. We
Or men, because it's
No, they
not.
don't. It's not like that. And I think you expect it to be that, but that in the reality is not.
No. You mentioned something real quick that there is a person, a famous yogi, I want to say it's yogi or it's guru, that said a saying, and that statement stayed with me. Said that love is a transaction.
Mm,
It's not really a feeling like when you have love for your child, it's unconditional.
mhm.
When you have love for your pet, that's unconditional and vice versa. But when you are in love with someone that you're trying to come That's a transaction because, as you said, love is not enough.
Right.
In order to keep that love alive, you have to do certain things in order.
Mhm.
And when he mentioned that love is a transaction, I was like, you know, there is some truth to that.
Mm.
Just like when you go to a store and you make a transaction, right? You buy this clothes, you wear it, and all of a sudden you fall out of love with it because maybe it don't fit right, maybe it got faded out, maybe it just doesn't make you feel like it used to. Love is a transaction.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
great metaphor.
Which is interesting, right? When you think about it, like I love you. You're my sister. You're my soul sister. You're my friend. I love you, and I will always love you.
You do.
Yeah, there's people I've dated I don't love anymore.
Yeah.
Do I wish them well? Yes, I wish all my ex partners well, and I hope they're doing good and they found their person and they're happy, right? But there's no love there.
Nothing, because the
No,
transaction,
it's
it stopped.
it's out.
There's no more transaction
Yeah.
happening.
When you find your person, that's when you know that the love is love, right?
Mm,
Like
mhm.
that is your person.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, at the end of the day, as you can see, love is a powerful emotion
Mm,
and it's a great vibration. And we have to have love for all things. At the same time, it's a transactional thing between humans. Because I can say I love all people, right? That's a general statement. But when I know that person, there's a different kind of love, right?
mm,
You have unconditional love for a friend, for a sister, a family member, and then a loved one. You know what? Love is a transaction because there's no interaction.
mhm,
And that what happens, it fades. It's not
It does
enough.
fade.
It's not enough. So before we
Which
let's
love is more important than in love. I think people are like, "Oh,
yes.
I'm in love." It's like it's not good. Is it good to be in love? I'd rather have love than not in love.
That's a debatable.
Oh, yeah,
That's a debatable topic.
that's another topic for
Another
another day.
topic we'll debate it because we have a lot of these. So
It's interesting to me when people are like, "Oh, I'm so in love." It's like, but are you in love? And is that safe, right? Because you can fall out of love.
yes, we're definitely gonna have several series on
It'd
you.
be
Well, okay.
interesting to see where that goes.
So before we get off topic here of our independence and love and authenticity, um, what are some of the personal red flags if you want to share? Because sometimes it's hard to share these. We just look for them,
Oh
but
no, I have no problem sharing my rest.
what are the some of the personal red flags in the past that you may have overlooked, like I mentioned earlier, but now recognize that's a deal breaker?
Oh, a deal breaker.
Deal breakers only.
Okay, I think one thing that, like, if someone cannot communicate
Mm,
correctly,
that
like,
that's true.
if you can't, like, be honest with yourself, you're not gonna be honest with me.
Mm,
Let's be
honest.
honest. If you can't be like, you can't be your authentic self and know that you're wrong or apologize. Like,
Mm,
if a man can't admit their wrongs, then I don't see that working.
absolutely. A red flag for me would be something similar to, can you express yourself? Can you communicate effectively? Can you get me on your side or make me understand something? But if I am trying to teach you how to properly communicate and then you have a problem with that, trust me, get up and I just, you know what? Good luck. And
Yeah,
I will walk away.
yeah. Another red flag that I think is very like a lot of people may not think, but I think it's a red flag is when they speak wrongly about their past, like really bad. It's like,
Did you heal?
hmm, not only did you heal, but you don't think you're wrong.
Right.
In a relationship, no one is perfect, right? It ended not just because of one person. There's a reason why,
Absolutely.
it's both. Like I can honestly say my relationships, I wasn't perfect, you know what I mean? So when they blame it all on the other person, I feel like that's a red flag.
Another red flag. Let's see if you agree with this one.
Okay.
Like recently, I went on a date, and in this date, at first we were having a good conversation, and then the person's like, "I used to be like this. I used to be like that. If I drank too much, I used to do that." Oh, I used to visit so many and so places where I went out with plenty of women and this and that. Like but I'm different now. I'm changed. I swear. It took me a year and a half but I'm changed.
I
That's a red flag to me.
Yes, because they are telling on themselves.
Mm.
I dated someone who said I was a manipulator, I was controlling. They were those things still.
When you dated
Yeah, when
them.
I
Wow.
dated them. So they had not changed, but they said in the get-go, I'm not these things anymore. That was a lie. I think it's a telling. They're telling themselves, and you should listen. I feel like sometimes you don't listen in the beginning, but a lot of them kind of tell you who they are in the
Hmm.
beginning.
Hmm.
Like if they
They
don't
do.
ask, like if they don't talk, like when you're getting to know someone, you ask each other a question, and they don't ask you questions.
Mm.
What does that tell you? They're not interested in who you are as a person.
Correct. Or when you have to pull the words out of them.
Yes.
That's a red
I
flag.
don't like that either. I don't.
It feels like, are you interested or you're not interested? And if the communication's not flowing, it's like, no, I'd rather have a conversation with the wall, or I'd rather meditate
Also, I
than to
think
have a
one of my
conversation.
things is like I like having a good time. I love nature. I love being outside. And the person just wants to be home all the time. That's not gonna work. That's a red
Yeah,
flag to me.
yeah,
Obviously personal to me because that's not who I
yeah.
am. I think it's important to have someone who likes the things you like too.
Yeah.
Not everything, but you have
Mhm.
to have some common
For,
ground.
for me, another red flag is when a person is figuring themselves out.
Mhm.
They're like, okay, so do you know what you want? Because we know what we want, right? But then you meet someone, it's like, okay, so do you know what you want? And they're like, I'm just figuring it out. And they have this great personality. You get along, you have a good time. It's putting all these check boxes, you could say, not to put someone in a box, but things are the qualities that we look for. And then when it gets down to it, so what about like in general? Do you know like what you want? I'm just figuring it out. I'm just here to have a good time, or I'm just see how it goes. For some reason, that does not sit well with me.
No,
It does not.
definitely not.
Because you're wondering, like, are they just looking
Yeah.
for a good time? Like, what?
You kind of know, I think, from the get-go when a guy is just interested in getting you in bed or,
Oh yeah.
having something casual rather than not, right? What are you doing at 10 o'clock at night? Or, not messaging you at a proper time or not messaging you at all.
Oh,
That's another thing. Like, man, effort. Like,
time
we're
and
not
effort.
saying to text us all day, but like, how are you? Like, good morning, how are you? I hope you have a good day. Let's talk. Or, you know,
That's a good point too. There's a lot of social media content out there about men giving advice to men, women giving advice to women. Same thing, similar to what we're doing. What we're doing is going more into detail
mm,
about these kind of real conversations that you have with people. And you gotta stay authentic. It comes down again, authenticity
yeah,
for me, and it does for you as well.
mhm.
This is why we're discussing this. So, in that sense, let me go into how do you maintain control over your emotional investment, right? In a new relationship without feeling guarded or standoffish.
Ooh, that's something I'm learning now.
Mm,
It's hard for me right now to not feel guarded because I love my life. I'm happy in my life right now. So for you to enter it, like, you have to show me that it's worth it. And not a lot of people are showing me that. So I'm very guarded when it comes to my emotions and my feelings and, opening up to someone right now. And maybe that means like I'm not ready or I'm not haven't met the right person, right?
mm,
Maybe I'm okay right now and I don't want to let anyone into my peace because I'm happy.
mm,
Again, I'm
mm.
happy right now. And
Girl,
it's hard, right? To
yes.
let someone in and interrupt that if
Preach
they're
it.
not at
Preach
it.
it, sis.
So I feel like I'm a little guarded, but I know right away if someone's not.
Correct.
Like, I dated someone who was a great guy, all the qualities I liked, um, hit every box, every single box, honestly. And it was a great from the start, but he was going through a lot. He
Mm.
was going through a lot, and I knew that it would crumble us. And I was like, okay, do I stay with this guy who's great and just see how it goes? But I know it's not going to end up well if we continue, or do I let him go? And I decided, let me let him go because
Right.
it's not the right time.
Correct.
Because I knew it's just, there was a lot going on in his life that, you know,
That
um,
was going to interfere.
yeah, it's gonna interfere with his life and also bring stuff into my life that I didn't
Willing to
want.
compromise.
Yeah, not ready to compromise. So I had to let that go. And I think as much as painful that was because I thought he was great, I just knew he wasn't the right person right now for
Woman.
each other.
That's another topic. Timing.
Yeah,
Proper time.
timing. Because again, is it the saying right guy, wrong time. Is that really a thing? Or maybe it's just,
Hmm.
right?
That's theory. Like, I think not theory, but it's been happening a lot, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to this. But again, I truly believe in the universe that everything happens for a reason, and I feel that these people that we encounter at these particular time, we need to encounter for a
Hmm.
specific reason.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that person, in a way, came to show you something, just like someone else that I might go on a date made me reinforce or taught me that I did heal from that,
Yeah.
or that I can overlook that. Like one thing that you said, the guarding, I'm so guarded because I'm an intellect. And for me, emotions are not as easy as you.
Mhm.
You're definitely more emotional empath. I'm more of an intellect, a mentalist, and my emotions are a little deeper. But when I love hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't give me that time and effort in order to get in here, it's like Fort Knox, but not really Fort Knox. We don't have to get
No, definitely. Because, like you said, I'm an empath. So, a lot of people, like everyone I meet, I kind of like get into their like emotions. Like, and if they're feeling bad or they're going through something, I'm feeling it now.
right.
So to me, it's like I need to protect myself.
Mhm.
I have to protect my feelings and myself and sometimes not like kind of push back a little.
Sometimes we have to.
But when you like someone, you want to be there for them, be supportive and whatnot. And sometimes that's not good for you either. Especially in the beginning when you're starting to get to know someone.
I think we do try and we are vulnerable at the
Uh,
time, but the moment we get something, the guard just goes,
Yeah,
you know, real quick.
I know. No, it's one of those things like you said, it's like, is it bringing me peace or is it bringing chaos to my life?
Hmm.
And if it's bringing me peace, you're less guarded, right? Because it's
Hmm.
going smoothly. But once chaos starts happening, those guards come up.
Hmm. So right here to sort of do a quick roundabout. What, like, in at this stage in your life, like, what brings you the most fulfillment? And regardless of your relationship status, like, what is that brings you that full fulfillment, enjoyment?
I am a nature's girl. I love being in nature. It just brings me a lot of peace and
Hmm.
happiness and joy.
Hmm.
Being around my family and friends, I'm very family oriented, and my friends are my family. I've known them for more than 30 years. So to me, just the people that I love,
Hmm.
right? Also, writing brings a lot of joy to me. I feel like I find joy in that. And hopefully one day I can write a book. That's one of my things that I want to do in the future. Also, like just being me,
Hmm.
loving yourself.
Hmm.
It's such a hard thing to love yourself. And I feel as you get older, you start loving yourself more.
Well, I
It's
don't
not an
know.
easy process, though.
Well, I love myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't, and a lot of women that don't.
True,
And I
true.
feel like once you know your worth and know who you are as a person and what what you can bring to
Right,
others
right.
and how special that is, to love yourself more.
Yeah, it's true. I was fortunate enough to find that at a very early age. And therefore, because I knew that, my authentic self came out, my spirituality and my knowledge and experiences, I was able to bring that to people. And at first, you're scared because you think, they're not going to believe you or they're not going to like come around you. But it has been the opposite for me.
Yeah.
I have opened up doors and people flock to it.
But that's what I love about you. I think as long as I've known you, you've never changed.
No.
You have always been this like full of life, like
Ah, thank you.
sunshine. No, and I love you for it. And that's why I have you in my life
Mhm,
because you have this positive aura around you. And you've been like this from the beginning,
mhm, mhm.
from the get-go, and you've never changed, no matter where you are in life. And we've been disconnected for years, but we always end up from the beginning, right? And
Like,
not like nothing
nothing's
has
changed.
changed.
Yeah.
It's like we're a little magnet connected, and if we're not, we come back and it's still the same. And I love you that for
Mhm.
that because you haven't changed who you are as a person. You have grown, you have learned things, experienced things in life and stuff, but you're still the same person from
I
the get-go.
I get bashful for with compliments, but I gotta start taking those compliments in and really appreciate that. That's why I decided to be my authentic self from a very early age.
Mhm.
And I'm like, whoever is around me for a reason. And so I think once you start accepting that, there's no changing who you are except loving yourself more and you evolve and you grow. And then, reevaluate yourself. What are the things you want to change? What are the things you want to improve? What are the things that you want? Manifestation. And you know what? I've noticed that the more authentic you are to yourself, others are going to appreciate you too. And then just embrace other things. And so again, coming back to being independent and love and authenticity, it's really important, not just in dating and relationship, but also within
With
friendships,
themselves, yeah.
within family, and the
Mhm.
relationship, like you mentioned, that you have within you.
Very important.
But I think it's so important that, in this topic of dating and relationship, that us in our 40s, and maybe there's others who are younger that can relate, men and women alike, that we're here to share our stories and our experiences. And there's going to be a lot more to come. We're here to open up that communication channel. Take it from someone who majored in communications. I majored in public management and working with the people day in and day out. So therefore, we have that ability to get people together and express what we need to express
Mhm.
to help people come together. That's one of my goals. And my goal is having people here sharing their stories with you, have you work on whatever it is you want to work on that might bring you peace. That's great. And that's all what it's all about. So, Will, thank you so much for being
No, thank
here.
you for having
You're
me.
definitely going to be back because this is going to be a
Yes.
series. We have so many things to talk
There's
about.
so many topics that we can go
Oh yeah,
into.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then we're gonna
definitely.
invite this and make this a great. So thank you, viewers, for being here once again. We look forward you to seeing you next time. And don't forget, this is Dating and Relationships. CJ, your host, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks and goodbye.